With the arrival of Keto Chow 2.0, I figure it's high time to do a new video on how to prepare Keto Chow. So I'm going to be showing you how to prepare one meal, how to do two with a blender and some ice to make kind of a frosty, and how to do 6 at a time. That's how I always do it because I'm feeding a bunch of people Keto Chow every day. So for the single meal, if you're just doing, say, a sample or you're just trying things out, it'll be the simplest way. I'm going to be using a blender bottle. So start off with, you're going to put in, well, however much heavy cream you want to use. In my case, I'm going to be using 80 milliliters. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. On the side here, you actually have a built-in measuring scale. If at all possible, it's easiest just to use that. So I'm going to do that right now. Measure out 80. Now this goes to 100, so I'm going to put it to 8/10 of the way there. All right. So, I mean, I could do it a lot more scientifically, but for the purposes of this is just fine. So I'm going to do it to there. I like to have mine mixed up to 16 fluid ounces. You can do more to have it thinner or less to do it thicker. It's really a matter of personal preference more than anything else. I like to draw a little line on my bottles so it's a bit easier to see where the 16 ounce line is. So I'm going to fill this up to 16 ounces. Which is right around, is it 400 milliliters? Nope, 500 milliliters. So I've got that. Now I'm going to add 1 scoop of the Keto Chow. I'm at the very bottom of this package. So it might take me a minute to get a full scoop. Hold on a second. All right, so I've got 1 level scoop. Now you can also weigh it. For the other ones, I'm going to be weighing it, but for this one, just a scoop. So, and dump that in there. Now, 1 word of warning. Number 1, close your lid. You don't want to get it all over yourself. Number 2, if you shake this up and down to start off with, you're going to get dry powder that's going to be gunked up here in the lid. It's always best to do kind of a side-to-side shake before you do anything else, just to kind of wet the powder down. And then you can do the real shaking. So, that's mixed up. It's almost ready to go. You need to let it sit for, I generally recommend at least 30 minutes, if not longer, usually in the fridge. The reason for that is it does a couple things. First and foremost, some of the vitamins and whatnot are microencapsulated, specifically vitamin E. You'll notice if you mix up vanilla that there will be these little red spots that appear after about 2 minutes. That's the encapsulation going away, and now it's turning reddish orange because that's the vitamin. But you've got other vitamins and minerals that need some time to dissolve, and that 30 minutes it'll change the flavor. If you drink it right away, generally speaking, it's going to taste funny. But you stick it in the fridge overnight is even better. The flavor improves significantly. So normally I'd stick this in the fridge, but I'm going to move on. All right, blender take 2. Messed up on the first go around, so I'm going to do this over again. Right, so now I'm going to show you how to mix up 2 meals, because that's as big as this blender will go, in a blender using ice. And because this is my second take, I don't have as much ice as I would like. Normally I'd have quite a bit more. Depending on how thick you want it, you want to replace like half or maybe even a little bit more of your water with ice. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the ice right now. Hopefully we get it this time, because I don't have any more ice here with me. Then we're going to add the heavy cream. In this case, I'm doing 2 meals, so it's going to be 160 milliliters. Let me measure that out really quick. All right. Pour that in here. add water. And like I said, I like mine to be 16 ounces each. So 32 ounces total. I'm only going to take this up to about the 24 ounce line just because I don't want to have to do another take. So I can always add more water later. Take 3. Still got the stuff in here. The garage door opened and made a lot of noise. So here we are in take 3. Great. So I've got the liquid in here. Now I'm going to add, in this case, I'm going to do cookies and cream. I can either weigh out the amount or just use the scoop. Of course, weighing out, once again, is more accurate, but if you're in a rush, you can just use the scoop. Or you just don't care, but here we go. So I've got 2 scoops of cookies and cream. When you mix it up using the blender like this, that's one of the things you can do with the, in order to use the hydro flasks. I've been using hydro flasks for years. They work extremely well, and we now just barely got them in with the Keto Chow logo on them. But it's a really good way to have your stuff nice and cold for when you're out and about without refrigeration. Works really well. I've had one in a backpack for 18 hours, and it was still nice and cold. But it won't make things cold. It has to already be cold. So you can either mix it up in a blender bottle and stick it in the fridge and pull it out and pour it in the next morning, or you can mix it up in a blender using a bunch of ice. And once again, I don't have as much ice as I'd like to because I used it up in the first take, and yeah. So anyway, here we go. Gonna blend this up. Normally it'd be a lot thicker, but. A lot better than it did last time. So here I've got it. It actually, because of all the air it introduced, it's a lot higher than 32 ounces. It's just going to barely maybe fit into these. So at this point, it's nice and cold. I still wouldn't drink it right away just because the vitamins haven't had a chance to dissolve fully, I'm guessing. In the past, when I've drank it right after I mixed it up, it just didn't really taste very good. Then you give it an hour or so in the fridge and it tastes great. Or not in the fridge and just in a hydro flask. So these are ready to go. Make sure you close the lid. I've done that before. Okay, so now when I mix up Keto Chow, I usually do it 6 meals at a time just because I've got my wife and, well, there's a couple of my kids who have taken to drinking Keto Chow, especially in the morning for breakfast. So I like to use a 1 gallon water pitcher, or 4 liter. I actually have a little line drawn on there where it's at the 3-quart mark, because once again, 16 ounces times 6, it makes 3 quarts. So, got my water pitcher. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it just to start off. In this case, the heavy cream, I'm going to be using 480 milliliters. And I don't have a measuring cup that goes that big, but I've got these really handy blender bottles that do go that high. So, I'm gonna use that. Gonna be going right up near the 500 milliliter mark. That means one less thing to get dirty. Now, of course, you can use more or less heavy cream depending on the amount of calories that you want to get. They're on the preparation page on the Keto Chow website. It has a little calculator. You put in how many calories you want, and it'll tell you how much heavy cream to use. Works really well. So, I've got my 480. And you can, I guess, well, the calculator will give it to you in cups and tablespoons and stuff too, but I just find milliliters is easier. Anyhow, so I'm gonna add a little bit more water, not much, but about right there. Now the reason why I'm not filling it up all the way to the line is because once you get your immersion blender going, you're gonna wanna dump some additional water onto it to get anything off. So, first off, I need to weigh the amount of powder I'm going to use. You could use 6 scoops, but this is where weighing just works a lot better. So I need 277.4 grams. So I'm just going to weigh it out. Almost there. A lot of people really like the scoops instead of weighing because it's faster, but I find when you're doing 6, it's faster to just weigh it. Okay, so I've got the Keto Chow ready to go. I've got my stick or immersion blender ready to go. You want to mix it as quickly as you can, otherwise the xanthan gum tends to clump up and stuff. So I just dump that in here. I'm going to get this going. Usually it forms an air bubble and you have to kind of get that out. There we go. Okay, now I've got stuff on here, so that's where I'm going to add in the rest of my water, just to clear that off. And then I just mix it. Going around the edges, make sure I get it all, go all the way down, and make sure I don't have like water in the bottom. And if you're new to mixing Keto Chow, you'll think this is great. If you've mixed 1.9 before, you'll notice that 2.0 mixes a lot better. It's less clumpy. Okay, so that is ready to go. Now, I should have prepared this ahead of time. I'm just going to take my 6 blender bottles, line them up. All right, there they are. And I'm just going to pour into them until I hit the 16-ounce line. If you get a little extra in there, you can split it up however you want. It's the only difference is how much or how little water you put in there. Nutrients are going to be the same. So there we go. Now, once again, make sure you get the lid on nice and tight. The worst thing in the world is you go to shake up your bottle and it's not closed. And you get stuff all over you. A couple other things when you're mixing up Keto Chow. One thing, if you want to vary the flavor a little bit, you can use sugar-free syrup. This is raspberry, one of my personal favorites. Also, if you are traveling, I've got a bunch of blog posts about this as well. Trader Joe's sells a shelf-stable whipping cream. It's not heavy whipping cream, so there are more carbohydrates in it. but it works really well. You can pack this in your checked baggage, or you can find a Trader Joe's wherever it is you're going. I usually use this when I go on to computer tech conferences. I'll have a couple of these in my bag in a Ziploc bag. Then when I get there, I'll throw them into a refrigerator just so that they're cold, and I can mix up my Keto Chow in the hotel using the just shaking it up method. Then I put them in the refrigerator, wait until the next morning, and transfer them into the hydro flasks. And I've got my meals for the day. I don't have to worry about staying keto or finding a restaurant that I can do a bunless burger or whatever. I just have my stuff. So there you go. So that's it. That's how you mix up 1, 2, and 6 meals of Keto Chow, using just your hand and a blender bottle, using a mixer, or using a blender. Anyway, there you go.